Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's the Funnel Doctor. Hope y'all are doing amazing. We got another very special live coming. This is the topic that I'm even curious about myself. I don't know the answers to, so I wanted to bring on an expert to come and share, a lot of stuff that's been circulating. Other people have a lot of questions about. So we're going to get this party started. Do me a favor, when you jump on, put your name, your business name down, and then also make sure you share this out. We got a lot of questions that people already been asking me that I want to ask. So let's get this party started. Let's see if I can accept this live. Should accept. Hey, Obi, how you doing?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for jumping on. This is a hot topic right now.
Of
So I
course, of
wanted to
course.
definitely give us an expert so you can just break this all down for us.
I will do my. I have my little baby. Okay. One
It's
second.
okay. Listen, baby about to get some of this game
Yeah.
too.
So yes, thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk about this topic. I know AI is the new, I guess we'll say sexy thing for now. So definitely excited to talk more about it.
Definitely. So before we get started, with folks that are not familiar with you, of course, introduce yourself, who you are, where you're from, and so forth.
Okay. Hey everyone, happy Wednesday. My name is Obi and I am a business attorney and IP strategist. Hey Bianca, I work with attorneys and I work with businesses who are in the growth and expansion phase of their business. So established businesses who are now thinking about whether entering stores, licensing, franchising, expanding on a national or global level. So I provide IP services to them. If they are looking to increase their company culture, I also do employment immigration for them, helping them to hire foreign talent. And then I'm just a strategist, so just kind of like their brand protection partner.
Yeah, I love that. Of course, it's so needed. Us as entrepreneurs, we need you as a resource.
Absolutely.
So, of course, we're going to talk about GPT stuff. So, before we get to that, I'm just curious. Did you always want to be a lawyer? Is it something you fell into? How did the transition happen?
So I am Nigerian, and if there anyone who knows Nigerians, we can only be four things: we can be doctors, lawyers, engineers, or failures. That is just the Nigerian culture. So I was actually supposed to be a doctor. I graduated pre-med, did everything. I have a science background, so that's what I know. And then when I graduated, I took some time off and just said, not really, I just want to take some time off. So I moved to Philly. And it was kind of while when I moved to Philadelphia that I just, in the work that I was doing, decided I wanted to go to law school. And so went to law school. The path was still public interest. I wanted to work with juveniles and my first job at Superior Court, doing for the lead family court judge there. And then that was around the time Hurricane Sandy happened. So I ended up working for the state, doing compliance and running a program. We were given a grant by HUD to help the businesses in New Jersey who had been affected by Hurricane Sandy. And then from there, I went on to work with the federal government. So I have an interesting background in terms of national security policy strategy, that type of thing. And then I've owned my business, my firm, for 6 years now. So yeah.
Okay, I love it. Now, I
Mhm.
didn't know that you lived in Philly.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm representing Philly, so I didn't know that. And what part?
My baby's wearing an Eagles jersey right now, so we're straight Philly diehard. My husband, we met in Philly too, so this is a Philly household.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely did not know that.
still two
So,
one five. Yep, that is two
right,
one five.
215 all day, 215, 267 all
Yep,
day.
he's
So,
a two
yeah,
six seven. Yep, exactly.
I did not know that. And what school did you go to?
So my academic background is interesting. I went to BYU. I graduated from BYU. My mom. People always say, "How'd you end up in Utah?" But my mom is a professor and a researcher, and so she did her postdoc at BYU, and so ended up in Utah and went to BYU.
Wow, okay. So that means you're like super. I already knew this, but that means
Yeah,
you're like extra smart.
I've
Extra
yeah,
smart.
I've lived a lot of places in the U.S. I grew up in the U.K. too, so I'm one of those. I think Rolling Stones or whatever. I move around quite a bit. So yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
love that. So of course, I'm curious about this topic about ChatGPT.
Mhm.
Because there's a lot floating around. Listen, I love ChatGPT.
Mhm.
I use it every day. My team uses it.
Mhm.
A lot of people are on the bandwagon. It's really helping a
Mhm.
lot of businesses. But I'm always curious on like, what from ChatGPT, like, can you own all that content? Is that your intellectual property? I know you can use ChatGPT for many different things,
Mhm.
whether it's your emails, your landing page, social media ads,
Mhm.
writing books, courses, like a lot of the things we do, we can
Mhm.
use it for. Shout
It
out
can
to
do
Alicia Little.
everything.
Yeah, everything. Shout out to Alicia Little, who be literally
Yes,
dropping the game on all that.
she
The
is
Marketing
amazing.
Summit,
Amazing.
Lamar, TSP, like
Mhm.
people going hard. But I'm really curious on like, what are the ins and outs from a legal perspective on owning the IP content? Can you use it? Can you not? And so forth.
So, and I'm no like tech engineer or anything, but the way ChatGPT, AI, all these language learning models work, they're feeding it a huge ton of data. Okay, so that's why ChatGPT is thinking for itself, but it's been fed so much data, so much information. That's how it's able to regurgitate it, and that's just at a baseline level. So when you start creating content in there, and I'll start with copyrights, okay? Because I work with a lot of course creators, content creators, and things like that. Copyright is an aspect of IP. So let's say, for example, you're a course creator or you write a book, okay? When you publish something, you publish a blog, a book, a course, there is automatic copyright protection given to it, okay? So, however, I always tell people, like, if you're going to make money from that, you should also register with the US Copyright Office, okay? And that's what will happen, and that's what can happen. So let's say, because this happens with course creators all the time, okay? Someone takes their course, lifts the course, and now sells the courses there. Oh, I just saw that in our group where somebody was saying that Dr. Ajita was saying how she got 110,000.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
and I was like, that's the power of copyright and protecting your stuff. So when you register with the U.S. Copyright Office, that means that if anybody lists your stuff or takes your stuff, you are able to sue in court. Okay. And so I always tell people, if you're creating a course, if you're writing a book, and it's not just courses and books, it's software, it's photographs, it's art, it's music. All of that comes with copyright protection. Okay. And so I tell people, take that extra step of protecting it, because that gives you legal remedies if someone tries to steal your stuff. The Copyright Office, and again, legal is kind of slow to this, but I see where they're coming from. When it comes to protection, especially things, intellectual property protection has to have a human element. Okay, so the way the Copyright Office looks at it right now is, if you write a book, okay, the copyright is given to the human. Okay. And so what they're requiring now is that when you register a course, a book, or something, you have to disclose, when you're going through that registration process, what was created by AI. So if images were created by AI, you have to put that in there. If some of the writing was created by AI, you have to put that in there. Okay. So whatever is, let's say we wrote a whole book with ChatGPT. We didn't do anything ourselves. That can't be copyrighted, because that's not our work. Okay. That's AI. And so if there are images in it, if we didn't do it in ChatGPT, Midjourney, or something did like that, then that can't be protected. Okay, and that's what they've ruled. And where this came from, I think it was a couple months ago. There was someone who wrote a book, and it had illustrations in it, and the Copyright Office at that point gave her full copyright protection. She went on social and was talking about how she got all these copyright protections and all of that and stuff. So she blasted it, and the Copyright Office got wind of it, and they went back and they asked her, what did you create and what is AI? So she wrote the book, okay, and that's protected. Some AI created the images are not protected. Okay, so that's, Copyright Office is just, hey, you have to disclose what you're protecting. So if you are someone who's creating a course by AI, and I know that people are doing that, and you're thinking, oh, someone mirrors the same course, and you have no recourse, because that's not really something you did. You know what I mean? Same thing with trademarks and things like that. It kind of gets sticky, because again, the legal world is still trying to figure out where this means. AI is
right.
taking work images and just kind of redistributing and things like that. So When it comes to images, early on, Getty sued a bunch of people because it just, for the AI, because it just took all their images and just put it in this machine. So sometimes the machine would, the AI would reproduce something, but it would have the Getty watermark on it. Okay, so no permission, no licensing, and anything like that. So a couple of artists did this as well for Midjourney and Dali and said, "Hey, our work was used, we didn't, and it's copyrighted, but you didn't get our permission." Okay, so it's a sticky thing between where, if I guess what I would say to creators right now, especially with this how AI is hot and it pulls from anywhere, make sure that you're protecting your stuff. Okay, make sure that you're copying. Here's the thing: if you also have to be watch out. Okay, now there are tools and things like that that can let you know when something has used your work. Okay, so you also have to watch out and be on that. Like in the general trademark realm or copyright realm, when I'm working with clients, once they have something trademarked or copyrighted, then we perform watch services for them. So at that point, I am scouring the USPTO, social media, all of that to see is someone using my client's work name without their permission. At that point, you'll get a nice email to say, hey, I don't know if you know this, but this is trademark copyrighted. If they still continue, that's when we start rolling out the cease and desist. You continue, that's when court and stuff comes out. Okay. But with AI, because it's pulling from so many sources, it's kind of hard to know. The the discussion now is, if AI, let's say ChatGPT is taking from different sources, should they be paying the sources? Should they be paying the artists? Should they be paying the people who wrote it? Should licensing and things like that? So that's kind of where everything is at that point with AI and what can be protected.
I love that. Somebody had a good question. Is there a certain percentage of the work that has to be created by a human for it to be copyrighted? So I guess if you like 50, I write a book, 50% is ChatGPT, 50% is I wrote. Can I only copyright the half that I wrote, or how does that work?
What is protected is so if you wrote 50% of the book, 50% is protected.
Wow.
I mean, the AI stuff is like, nope, you disclose that and that can't receive protection because that's not, human. Now, if let's say, like sometimes I've worked with, when people are saying, hey, I want to copyright my work, I'm like, okay, did you do this yourself? They'll be like, yeah, did AI help you? If you say, hey, I just kind of did a little research and got a basic outline before I started writing, but AI did not help me at all, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But if you're saying it wrote chapter 2 to 4 and all of this, then I have to start saying, hey, let me know what this looks like so that I can disclaim this.
I love that. We got another question. If we hire contractors to produce work for us, i.e. social media, content creators,
great question,
and we include things in our content to limit our liability to AI?
Absolutely, and that is a great question. So that's the thing. So when you are hiring people, because again, if you're hiring someone, you're not going to know if they use ChatGPT or anything like that. So you can limit where they are getting their information from. You can request and have it in your contract that they should not feed your information to ChatGPT or any other AI. Trade secrets is another aspect of intellectual property. And what that means is your company has something that is of high economic value, and that's how you make money. So for example, the Coca-Cola recipe, that is a trade secret. The KFC spice recipe, that's a trade secret. So what happened was a couple of months ago, somebody in the Samsung headquarters or office was using AI and put Samsung's source code in ChatGPT. Now it's public information. That's considered a trade secret. Okay, so it was considered this huge data leak because a lot of Samsung's confidential information was leaked. So I would definitely say when you're working with vendors, when you're working with hiring people, your contract should state how how you want them to source information. Restrict them on, like if I'm using ChatGPT, for stuff like that, I'm not putting any personal information. I'm not personal PII, personally identifiable information, important stuff like that. So I think now the next thing will be when we're working with vendors, when we're working with contractors, what does that look like? So contracts to limit the use or limit how our information is being used. So yeah, that's a good question.
I love that. I'm glad you're breaking that down. So Jules said this is a hot topic on social media and aspiring authors and publishers using ChatGPT. The guidance does not appear. Thank you, Ryan, for bringing us live. Yes, It is suggested to modify 50%. Yeah, so that's definitely like the reason why I wanted to have the discussion. And like I said, thank you so much for coming on. First and foremost, everybody, do me a favor. Please share this out. Put this on your story. Put it in someone's DM. Tag some other people that need to be here. Like I said, this is an important conversation. And listen, we love AI. I love AI. I love ChatGPT. But I'm always thinking, from a secure your brand perspective, from an intellectual property perspective, if I'm just literally getting a whole a robot and AI tool to write my whole book for me, I want to own that. I don't want anybody to be able to take that from me, or a course or whatever it is. So that's why I really, I wanted this expert to come on and talk about it, because I don't hear enough people talking about this type of stuff, to be honest.
A lot of people don't talk about it. I know there's a couple of image platforms that what they're doing as they're going to release is they're going to give artists the option to opt out, meaning I'm telling you that you can't use my work. So whatever they're feeding AI, you can't use that artist's work, okay? Another way is if you're going to say, hey, this is protected, I'm okay with you using it, you're going to license it to them, okay? Or they're paying you some sort of royalty or fee for that. That's how it should be, okay? But again, people are just, all these AI models are just, it's huge bits of information. So like I'm thinking of your logo right now. If someone fed in the funnel doctor to, ChatGPT or anything, or Midjourney, they could essentially remake it.
Right.
Now, it may be different colors, it may be a whatever, but I know your logo, okay? But nothing stops them from saying, hey, I like this logo. Can you give me something similar but different colors and make the person green or whatever? And then by trademark standards, that is infringement, because if I saw that logo, even if it's, different color, I'm like, oh, that's the funnel doctor, but you're not the funnel doctor.
Right.
So when it comes to trademarks, because the standard is likelihood of confusion, I'm likely to confuse your brand with another brand that's doing the exact same thing. Okay, so if someone opened their own SEO service and whatever, liked your logo, kind of finagled it in Midjourney, and now people are like, wait, funnel doctor and whatever else, whose logo, and people are hiring them thinking that they're hiring you. You have a claim, okay? Because the standard is likelihood of confusion. Same thing with Barbie, with Barbie being hot, everything. I'm seeing a lot of Etsy stores with Barbie stuff, fonts and whatever. You need a license to use that, okay? All of that stuff, the pink, the fonts, the name, all of that stuff is trademarked. So, and now those people have deep pockets to go after people, even if you put the Barbie font in AI and say, change it around, okay? There's still ways for them to sniff that out, so yeah.
All right, great. So Joe said paraphrasing does not protect us from legal issues, even with ChatGPT, correct? Did you hear that one?
No, I didn't hear that one. Can you repeat it?
She said paraphrasing does not protect us from legal issues, even with ChatGPT, correct?
Yeah, because it doesn't. No, paraphrasing doesn't protect you. You can still, even if you flip words around and it's trademarked, okay? Even if ChatGPT wrote it, there's really no protection because it's not you writing it. Like sometimes I will write something myself, and then I've trained ChatGPT to know my voice and stuff like that. I may spit it in there and say, this is a really rough draft, rewrite it using my tone, okay? But I wrote it. But whatever it spits out, I'm not going to try and protect that because, it jumbled it and did its own thing with it. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good point. So nobody's really talking about this. Glad y'all are here. Yes, do me a favor, everyone on here, please share this with at least 10 people. Share this with at least 10 people. Comment done. Put an emoji down and let us know once you shared it with at least 10 people. Every single person on here. All right. That's my fear when using ChatGPT. That will potentially be a lawsuit and trademark infringement. Yeah. That's a really good point.
There's a lot of stuff. Now, again, the people that I see that are fighting these, the artists, the bigger companies and things like that, but at some point, and you don't have to be at the Nike level or the Getty Images level. At some point, people are going to, because it's an investment. It's an investment to copyright your work. It's an investment to trademark your work. So when people start using that to get derivative works or, messing around with it, they're messing around with something you've invested in and you've taken the time to protect. So Dove soap and Dove chocolates. That's easy. So when it comes to trademarks, the term is likelihood of confusion. So meaning if two, like, it's kind of like, let's use Nike and Adidas, okay? If Adidas had an upside down swoosh symbol and said, hey, we want to trademark that, no, because people may look at the upside down swoosh symbol and still see Nike, okay? So that doesn't work. Where it doesn't matter is if you're in two completely different categories. No one's going to confuse Dove chocolate with Dove soap, okay? Another one is Pandora music, Pandora jewelry, two completely. So when I'm working with clients and who want to trademark, I mean, the first thing I'll do is a search, because a lot of people do not realize that even before you start picking your names and colors and investing in websites and spending tens of thousands for branding, because it's not cheap if you're doing it right, you pick a name and then you run and build this business. By the time you think of trademarking, that name may not have been available. And so when you think of trademarking, then we're having to say, nope, we got to go back. You have to rebrand. Rebrands are expensive. Or you get a cease and desist because you didn't do the work to see, and now people are trying to shut you down. But if you were in two different categories, there's Delta Airlines, there's Delta Faucets. When you were in two different categories, that's okay. But again, that's my job as an attorney, the trademark examiner's job, to say, we search the trademarks. Is there a sense that if I register this in this, let's say someone registers you're the funnel doctor, and someone says like Dr. Funnel, okay? I don't care that it's Dr. Funnel. That's still going to say likelihood of confusion, because someone might hear that and think that's still you, okay? But if someone said the funnel doctor and they are making computer equipment, okay, that may go through because you are doing marketing and consulting and whatever. You're not doing like computer equipment and stuff like that. So that's really just how trademarks work, is can what you're doing be confused with another brand? And then if so, that's how protection happens or not. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good point. That's something that I never thought of as well, being in categories. I love how you broke that down. So my next question is, and I know it's probably people out there like, all right, I hear you, that's great, but if I use ChatGPT to write my book or to do my course, how is somebody really going to know? You know what I mean? I'm just playing devil's advocate, and I just want to get your perspective. This is not my opinion, but I know there's probably people out there that are like, all right, that sounds great, but a robot, an AI cannot send me a cease and desist. Mm-hmm. How is somebody really going to know if I use ChatGPT or not? And if I don't want to, let's say I write a book, I don't care about, copywriting it or whatever. How is somebody really going to know if I use ChatGPT or not? So why should I even bother to try to protect it?
Okay, and that's a fair question. So when ChatGPT became popular, as quick as ChatGPT was becoming popular, people were developing software to know. So what was happening in schools is people, students started using ChatGPT to write their term papers, okay? There are tools out there where a professor can feed that in there and know that, hey, same way their plagiarism tools to know if you plagiarized, okay? They could know that, some student actually developed this where it would tell a professor this is AI written. So people started failing, they started failing people. There's machines, it's the same way where we can scrub the internet for our clients using these AI detectors to say, even if someone has flipped it a little bit, we can still kind of know that our work, my client's work is in there type of thing. So there's enough technology out there. I mean, but it all gets down to, you want to, are you feeling lucky? It's, I mean,
Russian roulette or what? Right?
Yeah, you feeling lucky, and what does it mean to you if someone does find out? So yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting too, because one of my aunts is a professor, and she said literally now when they do papers, you cannot do a paper as a student at home anymore. Mm-hmm. If you're doing papers, you have to, or tests and everything, you have to do it in class or in front of everyone. Yo. Like you can't even do any work. You can't even do any work at home. Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, ChatGPT can read code, it can solve math. I mean, I think we're getting to a place where we really don't have to think anymore. It's that easy. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love that. All right, so if y'all got any other questions, feel free to drop them down. I know Obi is very busy. There's a lot going on, so we don't want to keep it too much longer. But I also just want you to share just some general trademark tips, brand protection tips. I'm sure people always ask you, if I get an LLC, do I have to get a trademark? Or which one should I get first if I do the opposite? I'm sure people ask that,
My
so I would love for you to talk about that
favorite.
also.
Okay, so let's start with the trademark myths. LLC Twitter will tell you, but an LLC, okay, it's a business entity that shields you. Let's say someone were to sue you, your personal stuff, your personal finances are protected. They'll go after your business. Okay, so I always tell people it's important that you have some sort of business structure, whether it's LLC, corporation, whatever. Okay, so that's one. So an LLC is a business entity. It's not a trademark. So you can have Starbucks LLC, potentially, but Starbucks could still come after you. Don't no one go do that, but you wouldn't be able to register it. Okay, so in order for you to still fully own and protect your brand, in addition to the LLC, you also need to make sure that you have it trademarked. Another one that people think about is, you have people want to know when's the best time. I always say there's different ways. If you're like a seasoned business owner, you know this is going to work, or you know that no matter what, you're willing to fight for this brand. Go ahead and trademark from the beginning. Okay. If you're not sure and you want to have proof of concept, go ahead, be in the market for a little bit. Once you start making money, then go ahead and trademark. What I see a lot of people do is thinking, oh, my business is too small. No one's going to come after me. Okay. It's not a big deal. And then they think I need to be at six figures or some crazy number before I trademark because that's what makes me important. By that time, it's too late. It's easier for people to, when you're bigger, people know you and, you never know who's just kind of, I had a client, I think it was maybe 2 years ago, who came to me and a big store had picked her up. And she was about to launch her brand in the store and things like that. And that's at that point she thought of trademarking. And, we go look at it and someone she knew had kind of trademarked something similar, same color palette and everything. So they beat her to the punch. What that meant is the launch of the store had to hold. So that affected her money. That affected packaging because now she had to reorder new packaging. That's a whole rebrand, okay? And so I tell people, I say, always just kind of make sure that you are protecting from the get-go. You don't have to be like Google, Nike to, protect and things like that. DIY, this is another place where we run into and again, there are people who have been able to figure it out themselves, and I'm all for it. But it's also not as I've seen people lose trademarks and have to start from scratch because they try to DIY it. Okay. And so it's not just as simple as, you fill out the application and then you're good to go. You still need to be able to give what's known as a proper specimen. You still need to show proof of use. You still need to have a good description, okay? You still need to be able to respond to an office action. An office action is pushback from the USPTO, whether they don't like the description or whether they said, hey, we're going to refuse this trademark because we see something similar, then you have to let a legal brief. It's really not that simple. So a lot of people have come to me because they started by themselves, they've gotten an office action, and they don't, kind of know how to fix it, or they went to LegalZoom, and no tea, no shade, I'm not trying to knock LegalZoom, but they went to LegalZoom, and LegalZoom kind of messed up, okay? Didn't answer an office action or whatever, and now we're having to fix it. I got a lot of, business from people who went to LegalZoom. And what I tell people is when LegalZoom did their trademark, they didn't even they used an attorney. LegalZoom did not use LegalZoom to do a trademark. Do you not trust yourself? So just kind of paying attention to, because that's your whole brand. If you built this multi-six-figure, going on seven-figure brand, how much is it worth for you to protect it? The couple of thousands you may spend to invest in a trademark versus the hundred and something thousand, if someone is fighting you in court for an assault. Yeah, exactly. LegalZoom doesn't even use LegalZoom. The final most important thing that I want people to know about getting a trademark is you got the trademark, great. You did Now when you get the trademark, you have to enforce the trademark, okay? That means you can't be out, and people always get mad at Nike and all these bigger brands for like enforcing, oh, my small business, why would you, I'm just trying to make money. They spent money for that trademark. Nike is famous, okay? When you start letting people use your trademark in any sort of way, you dilute your trademark, which means you may make it generic, okay? Meaning when it's time for you to when it's time for you to send in the maintenance forms or certify that you're using it again, trademark office may say, well, this is general. Someone else is using this trademark. Now, if you didn't enforce it, you've lost the trademark. Okay. Couple Lil Nas X with Mischief. I don't know if anybody remembers the Jesus shoes with the blood or yeah. So Nike, because people were literally burning Nike shoes, throwing it away, like it was this whole big thing. When Nike heard about that, within a couple of hours, they were in court. Like cease and desist, injunction, like it was crazy. But you're messing with their brand. Like imagine people burning Nike shoes. Mischief did not have permission to use those shoes. Okay, so there's it's not just following the trademark. You have to maintain the trademark. It's your responsibility as the brand owner to protect your trademark. Okay. In addition to that, if I see this as Etsy store owners, okay, don't be using the brands, on Etsy. It's not worth it. Your business can get shut down. If you're going to use it, you need permission. Okay. You need to pay to use it. If you're using it for free and thinking no one's going to catch you, it's like, how are they going to know? I've heard about so many Etsy business owners who are like multi six figures and then Etsy shuts them down and that's it. So those are just, if there are things I want people to know about trademarks and brand protection, number one, please protect your brand. You're out here making a living, creating generational wealth. And number two, enforce it. And number three, please, please, please do it the right way. So, yeah.
I love that. Yeah, thank you so much for dropping all those gems. If y'all getting value out of this conversation, do me a favor, drop something in the chat. Let us know. There was a number of questions. I want to go back and get to them. All right, so let me see. All right, somebody said, so what's the responsible, correct way to use ChatGPT in your business? That's a good question.
The responsible, correct way, number one, don't put any personal information. If you're a brand and you have secrets or trade secrets, don't put the stuff that makes you money. Don't put your valuable information out there. If you're using it for research and whatever, just kind of be cognizant of that. So that's one. Number two is, if you don't care, because some people don't care about protection. In this day and age when everybody's selling books and stuff, right. Let me just crank out the books and let me make my money. Then you're fine. But if you do care, especially if you're a course creator and that's how you make your business, you do it through ChatGPT. You can't protect it, so it makes it definitely easier for people to go take your stuff and you have no recourse. Number one, ChatGPT Protect is, did it, and you didn't register. You can't register with the Copyright Office, so it's a moot point, I guess. Yeah.
That's a great point. I said, but also, even if you get away with it, you also just completely giving up any IP rights you would have had in a hypothetical book. That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. What is the likelihood of a non-fiction book not being challenged even with ChatGPT?
It doesn't matter, fiction, nonfiction. If you're using AI to write it, that limits the protection. So it's not about the fiction. Even if you can tell ChatGPT, write me a self-help book telling you how to, have a great money mindset as an entrepreneur. And it writes this amazing book. You may feed it some ideas and then writes the entire thing. Can't protect it. So, and that's nonfiction. You know what I mean? So you got to weigh, do I care about this enough to protect it? And do I want this to have a long lasting shelf life, or am I just like, let me make that quick money? For some people, it's the quick money.
That makes sense. Our rebrands are expensive. Yes, definitely. LegalZoom doesn't even use LegalZoom. Do you encourage entrepreneurs to not only acquire trademarks, but get it registered as well? Is that a significant difference?
So getting a trademark is getting registered. So what I tell a lot of people to do, and use this with caution, is, if you've seen people use the symbol TM, the little TM by their brand, so that puts people on notice that you're claiming ownership. Okay, that you're claiming ownership, that this is yours type of thing. However, a lot of people also think that TM means that it's trademarked. No, that's you can have a TM. There's so many people that I see with TM, and I go look at them on the USPTO, because all that stuff is public information. They're not even trademarked. So you've let you're out there open. When someone is officially trademarked, it's the R with the little circle, with the round circle. That's the difference. Okay, that is the federal protection. That is what lets you go to court. That lets you shut people down. if you are someone who creates products, okay, you can also register with Customs and Border Patrol. A lot of people don't know this because, there's a lot of people who will see a product and go make it in China and try and import it. If you are registered with, and you've protected it and all that, you can register it with the Customs and Border Patrol so that anytime something is being imported, they can look at it. And if it's similar or if it's infringing, they can refuse it and it doesn't enter the country. So that's one of those. So yes, it's definitely worth the investment if your business is a business that you want to grow. For some people, a business, it's a hobby. It's just kind of a side. If it's a side gig, you don't care. It doesn't really matter. But if this is your business, wealth builder, that type of thing, then I always advise and recommend go ahead and just protect it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, just a few more questions. Jeff said, what's the cost of a trademark?
It really just depends. I know every attorney is it's different. So when I'm thinking about trademarks and the prices and things like that, I'm doing an assessment because I also want to know one trade for some people, especially if they have multiple products, like Nike has tons and tons of trademarks, okay? Or if they have multiple services and multiple courses, I want to know like what's your goal for the next year and what's your goal for the next 5 years, because then we do a protection strategy, okay? If you think you're going to be launching a lot, even if you're not launching, people don't also realize that you can file a trademark for product or service even if you haven't launched it. That's how you can protect it, okay? Anyone who's familiar with Fenty or anything like that, Rihanna had like intent to use trademarks even before Fenty was launched. Okay, so for a lot of my clients, they know that the minute they drop their product or someone gets wind about it, it's going to be hot. So you can file an intent to use trademark while you're still launching, sourcing your products, or creating your course, doing whatever you're doing, because it takes over a year for the trademark process to be complete.
Right.
And so I tell people start early, because by the time you think of trademarking, someone has either beat you to it or it's going to take forever. So yeah,
that makes sense.
Yep.
LegalZoom are not all attorneys. No.
Absolutely, they are definitely not. Yep.
What if you got your trademark thoroughly through LegalZoom? Do you have a lawyer review it?
If you got a registered trademark, okay, then you're fine. If you have your certificate, if the USPTO has given you a registration number, then you're good. Then that was one of the ones that LegalZoom was able to get through. But where we attorneys see the kind of messiness of LegalZoom is, they don't even research the name or do a search. Like I run a comprehensive search. I run a comprehensive search through the entire USPTO database, all 50, because states have databases too. So things like cannabis and stuff like that, it's kind of tricky with the USPTO, but you may register through the state if it's, like New Jersey and stuff like that where it's legal, you can register there. So I run it through entire USPTO database, all 50 states database, social media, whatever, to make sure that it can even be registered. LegalZoom doesn't do that. They just take it and try to go to USPTO, and then at some point the examiner is like, nah, you can't do this. They don't know how to respond to office actions or any of that. So, but sometimes people get lucky. Sometimes people get lucky, but we fix a lot of their mistakes. I guess that's all I can say. So if you have a registered trademark from LegalZoom, you're good. They wouldn't have let it pass if it didn't make sense.
Mm-hmm. What you're trying to say? Don't use LegalZoom.
Yeah, don't use it. But if you have one, you're safe.
Great. you got lucky, great. But
yeah, you got lucky. Yep.
All right, LegalZoom not a law firm, and they recommend you consult with an attorney. Definitely share this live. Thank you so much. I don't think there was any other questions. Obi, thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome. I enjoyed it. This is great.
Yeah, if you got any other last words or last tips for people, and of course, if someone does want to work with you, if they want to hire you, if they want, to get a trademark through you, or just, review their stuff or have a strategy call or whatever, how can they do so?
So if you want to contact me, if you want an IP audit, a strategy call, follow me. You can click the link in my bio and you can book a call, or just send me a DM and we can chat and then we can see what you need. Click the link in my bio to book a consultation, or just send me a DM and we can figure out what you need and then book you for appointment from there. Last words would be August is Black Small Business Month. And so I'm all for businesses, especially Black businesses, protecting their brands, okay? Because the world, okay, Black businesses in general, but you're creative, A lot of people think that you have to be a photographer or some sort of artist, and that, to be. But if you're a business owner, if you've created a product or service, you are creative. So in order to be able to make money from that creativity, you need to own it. And then with ownership comes leverage, and with leverage, that's how you get paid. Okay, so those would just be my last words: ownership and leverage.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, if you're not following either one of us, make sure you go to the
Definitely
top drop
follow.
down, follow Obi or myself. If you're not following us already, again, Obi, thank you so much for coming
You are so
on.
welcome. Thank you for having me.
You definitely shared so many gems. I hope y'all took notes. I hope y'all hire her seriously, but I really appreciate you just coming on.
You are so welcome. Take care. Bye-bye.